Everybody, it's Sarah here again, and this is my next hat tutorial, and we're going to be looking at making vintage styles this time. We're going to be looking at half hats, Juliet caps, calottes, that type of thing, and we're going to see how many hats we can get out of this felt hood. And it's a lovely colour, a beautiful powder blue, and I've had it for ages, and it's actually a vintage hood, and it's such a lovely feel. It's really velvety. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my little block here, and I'm standing it on this one just to give me some height, and I'm going to cover this with cling film. Sometimes this time I'm making sure I don't forget. There we are. So I've covered my block, and I'm going to cut into my felt hood. Now I'm actually going to cut the top off. So we're going to cut in here and cut all the way around. It can be rough at the moment because I'll finish it up when the hat is finished. So, right, put that aside for the next hat, and we're going to work on this one. Now normally I soak the felts, but I've decided this time that I'm just going to spray. So I'm going to spray water all inside and get it nice and damp. Now that's soaking a bit, and it's going to go onto my block. Now what I'm going to try and make here is a half hat with a little turn up brim, I think. So I'm going to smooth it down, see how we look at the back, see if it's wet enough. I could do it with perhaps a little bit more water in the middle. Let me just try again. A bit more there. I think I'm spraying water all over the table instead of on me. Right, so I push it down onto the block, and I'm going to have to stretch it and probably put a brim wire around it. But what I want to do is I want to pull up a brim here, and then what might be quite nice is to have some decoration on it afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn up this edge because I want a brim. So I've got roughly, I know roughly where it's going to go on the block. You really have to pull and stretch and decide how you're going to go about this. I think I'd like it up at one side. I'd like it asymmetrical if possible. So down on one side and up on the other. So yanking and pulling. I'm going to put a pin in the back to keep it in place. And I'm going to stretch that brim up. Right, do you want to stop the video a minute? I need a... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blocking spring on here to hold the felt in position, and I'm going to pull up my brim over the blocking spring, which will give it a bit of bounce and give it a bit of leeway. So I'm going to pull the blocking spring down at the back, pull it, oh, I think I've got too small a blocking spring. Never mind, let's see if I've got the bigger one there. Let's see, hang on. Let's try not, is that bigger? No, that's smaller. Right, so I want to pull my brim up at the side. As I say, I want to try and get it a bit asymmetrical. So I'm going to do that. And also what I thought I'd do was I would shape the top. So I'm going to squeeze it together like this and get a shape around the top like that. So where's some pins? see how that looks from the front. You have to keep looking and seeing if you're happy with everything. So I'm going to put a couple of pins in there just to keep that in place while it dries, and pull down there because I've got a bit of a ridge. There we are. So I've got a little bit of a shape to it and a bit of a brim at an angle, so you can see there. So I'm going to leave that to dry and see how that comes out, and hopefully we'll have a nice little hat there. So that's to one side. And what I have got is, of course, the rest of the brim. And we're going to do quite a bit of shaping. Now, I'm using a polystyrene head, which I don't normally use, but I want to be able to pin quite a lot into it. So I'm going to cut myself a strip of felt, which will go over the head. So about that long. And again, I need to make it nice and wet. And I want to get this quite damp because I want to stretch it a bit and even out the shape so that it's more of one long strip as opposed to a curve. So let's get the water into it. There we are. And pull it and stretch it and stretch it and pull it. Right, okay. So it's going to go on here like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some shapes in the top and pin them. I'll put my glasses on for this so I can see what I'm doing. So what I want to do is I want to get some curvy shapes in, but I don't think the felt is... It will look a funny shape at the moment because it's got to be altered once I get them. But I'm going to get pieces of it up in a ridge, as you can see, like this. And I'm going to pin those into place through the polystyrene. Now, you have to pin right down into the polystyrene so that it keeps its shape. You want to come to the top a little bit so that you can see. So what I'm doing is, if I can get all the pins out properly, is pinning my little ridges like this, and just pushing the pins in to keep them in place. And then I'll go on to another one like this. And again, pushing the pins in to keep them in place. And if you get a nice shape just appearing, it's nice to sort of go with the flow of the felt. So I've got a little V there. I think I'll keep that in, so I'm going to pin that. You ready? Mm-hmm. So what I've done is I've done lots of rolls and little loops and things like that. And really, this is all experimental. It might turn out wonderful and it might not. But the good thing about felt is if it doesn't, I can wet it again and start again. That one was a bit high there, I think. So we're going to put that to one side, and then that will be cut and changed. So that's number 2. And right, so we're on to our third piece of felt from the same hood, and this time I've cut a section like that, and I'm going to put it on this polystyrene head. And then I'm going to mark it because I want it to sort of go round Oh, I can't do it on the actual head, I'll have to do it on the thing. Oh, this chalk doesn't show up. I have to get a pencil. You'll notice I'm dressed differently because it's a different day, because yesterday when I started this video I had nothing but interruptions. Phone kept ringing, doorbell kept going. So I've come back to it today to show you what we've been up to. Now you remember yesterday, or in the beginning of the video, I blocked this on my head block and just freeform blocked it. And I've now sewn a Petersham sweatband in it just for the moment. And I'm pleased with the way it's turned out. It's turned out to be a very jaunty little hat, as you can see here. And you can wear it different ways. You can wear it back, you can wear it forward. So I think that'll make a nice little hat. I've decided, I did try putting some veiling on it, but I liked it plain. So I'm just going to put a hat elastic on this one because I think that will suit this hat, because it's a soft, I haven't wired anything and it's a soft brim. So that's that hat finished. So I'm pleased with that. And then the next one we did was, we did a lot of pinning and folding on the block. Now when I took it off the block, I actually realised that I liked it the other way round. That was how I originally had it, with the roll at the front, but I actually like it better that way around. That often happens. So what I've done is I've cut one edge off fairly straight and high. I've tapered the other side. I've cut the back out for more of a shape, and it's going to sit on the head like this. So I'm quite pleased with that as well. I think it's quite nifty. Now because that will need something to keep it in place, I've made a wire frame. So the wire frame will sit inside. Let me just put it on a head for you. She's got a very slippery head, this lady. And then it will sit on the wire frame like that. So I'm going to finish that off and show you when it's finished. And the last one we did was I put a piece of felt just on here like this. And what I've done is I have left it as a sort of a curved shape. I've cut around each side and just made the shape better there, so that it can be worn wide or tight up or like that. So what I'm going to do next on this is, you'll see I've already wired this edge and I've sewn a Petersham band all the way around, and I'm now going to decorate that band, and then I shall put 2 ribbons to tie it at the back so that you can wear it. And then last but not least, I had a tiny bit left and I made a bow. So I cut out a bow shape, wet it so I could stretch the middle slightly because it wasn't quite long enough for me to tighten a knot. So I've tied it in a knot. I've covered a very narrow headband. I've slid it through the knot, and what I will do is just stitch it down either side, and then that'll make a nice little headband. So out of that one hood, I've managed to get 4 items, and I have to say the bits left were minuscule. But they might come in handy, so I shall probably put them back in my bag of bits, and you might see them another day in another video. Thanks for watching. I hope this has been fun. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye.